There's a right way to quit your job and there's a wrong way. Let's start with the wrong way. It costs you money, it burns bridges you don't need to burn, and it can quietly damage your next opportunity. The right way though, it can actually set up the next phase of your life. And I learned that the hard way when I left Microsoft. When I quit, I made mistakes, big ones. I burned a bridge I didn't need to burn. I left money on the table I didn't know existed, and I'm not talking about the golden handcuffs. I knew about those. And here's the dangerous part. At the time, I thought I was doing everything right, but I wasn't. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the exact 5-step exit sequence I wish I followed. From 90 days before you leave to the day you walk out. Because if you get this right, you don't just quit your job, you position yourself for what comes next. And step 4, that's the one most people skip and it costs them the most. 90 days before you quit. This is where most people get it wrong. Step 1 is to document your IP. And when I say IP, I don't mean the legal documents. I mean this. What do you actually know that has value? And this is value outside of your job. Your frameworks, your ways of solving problems, the shortcuts you've built over years. Here's the thing nobody tells you. You don't realize how valuable your knowledge is until you leave it behind. And most people walk away from years of leverage without even knowing it. And if you don't know what you have, you can't use it later. So most people forget a lot of things. Go back through your documents, understand what you've done, how you've done it, and document those journeys. Now, before you go build anything, before you start trying to make any sort of money or income on the side, there's a serious conversation you need to have, and that conversation has to happen early on. This is the part most people actually delay, but it creates more problems later. So step 2 is to talk to your spouse or your partner. Not casually, not I'm thinking about quitting. You actually need alignment because this decision doesn't just affect you, it affects both of you and your household. And most people go into that conversation emotional, saying I'm burnt out, I need a change, and your spouse or partner thinks this is just another conversation from when you change jobs. This is very different. And so if this conversation isn't had correctly, it creates fear and it creates uncertainty. You need to show up with clarity. Here's the plan. Here's the risks that are associated with it. Here's the timeline that I'm thinking about. And here's how we manage the downside. Because what most people don't realize is this. Uncertainty doesn't create stress. It's unstructured uncertainty that does. And if your partner feels that, you're going to carry that tension to everything else that comes next. Okay, so 60 days before you quit. This is where people make the mistake that creates the most stress after they leave. They wait. They wait until they quit to figure out how to make money. That's backwards. So step 3 is to start building bridge income before you leave. Even if it's small, even if it's inconsistent. Because this isn't about replacing your income yet, it's about proof. Proof that someone will actually pay you for something that you can do. And that one shift changes how you think about everything. Your confidence goes up, your ability to have conversations in the right ways goes up. All of that changes. Because once you realize you can create value outside of your job, you stop seeing your paycheck as your only option. And once money becomes real, everything about the decision gets even more serious and you get closer to actually walking out. So now 2 weeks before you quit, this is where people make rush decisions and don't think it through. So step 4 is to manage your exit intentionally. Most people decide they're done and then rush the process because they're looking at the next thing. They submit the letter, they pick a date, and they move on. But this part matters more than you actually think. Because timing affects things like bonuses, benefits, transitions. And once you make that decision official, you lose flexibility. I made the mistake of assuming the process was fixed. It's not. There's more nuances than you actually think. But only if you slow down long enough to understand it. Because if you rush this part, you don't just leave, you leave value behind. And then there's the day you actually quit. Step 5 is simple. Leave doors open. Because your reputation doesn't reset when you leave, it compounds. The way you exit becomes part of how people actually talk about you later. And here's what most people miss. Your next opportunity will often come from someone who actually knew you. Even 2 years after leaving Microsoft, I was still getting referrals from people I worked with. So this isn't just about leaving a job, it's about protecting your future network. Let me ask you something. Have you ever mentally rehearsed quitting? Like you've played the conversation in your head over and over and over again? That's not random. That's your brain trying to prepare you for something that it anticipates coming. So I'm curious, have you actually ever done that? So now you have the playbook. It's not just motivation, not just, quit and I'll figure it out like I did. Don't do that. This is a real structured way to leave and think about leaving the right way. You're not someone who wants to quit someday. Now you're someone who knows what the path looks like to quit properly. But here's the part I didn't understand, and the part that actually matters most. Quitting is one thing, but what happens after is everything. Because you can follow every step in this video perfectly, and still end up completely unprepared for what comes next. I know that because that's exactly what happened to me. I quit Microsoft, and what happened over the next 18 months, that's what changed everything. So if you want to see what actually happens after you leave, and the one shift that took me from zero to charging $20,000 for a single day of work for one client, watch this next video. It's the one that connects everything together. And before you make any move, take the free career risk assessment in the description below. It'll show you exactly where you are and how close you are to your exit. Because quitting isn't the goal, getting it right is.